So this is like the background story of Burkina Faso.
So Burkina Faso didn't just fall apart. It was systematically destabilised and it's being kept that way. After independence in 1960, the French never really left. They controlled the money, they controlled the trade, they backed puppet leaders, and anytime a nationalist rose up, they crushed him. In 1987, Thomas Sankara, the revolutionary who tried to make Burkina Faso self-reliant, was assassinated, backed by France, backed by Western interests. After that, it was handed back to the usual corrupt elites, and the country has been drained of its resources, used for its gold, for its cotton, for its cheap labour. In exchange, the people got poverty, repression, the entire Sahel region flooded with weapons, especially after the NATO invasion in 2011. When Libya collapsed, militants with arms flooded straight into Burkina Faso, Mali, Niger. Western powers knew this would happen. They used it to justify counter-terrorism interventions. Another excuse to send troops into the region. Does this not give you a clue? Look, Financial Times, August. Burkina Faso nationalises 2 gold mines. Suddenly, 30th of August. Fuck's sake. BBC. 27th of August, nationalises gold mines. 29th of August, UK government statement, civilian massacres and media suspensions. This is not internal chaos, this is externally controlled chaos. Terror groups don't appear from nowhere. They thrive when the state is weak, and the powers external are keeping it weak. Because the cycle of coups and militias and jihadists and poverty is not accidental. It is how control is being exercised without calling it colonization. Now that Burkina Faso is finally saying no to France, the narrative is suddenly changing. Suddenly it's unstable. Suddenly it's human rights abuse. Ibrahim Traoré took power in 2022 through a coup with popular support and pushed out French troops. He's been trying to cut ties with the West and nationalise gold production to keep the wealth in his country. They partnered with Russia deliberately for survival, not out of ideology. The Western media is ramping it up, calling him an authoritarian dictator and dangerous. Western intelligence is watching him closely, stirring instability, planting stories, quietly trying to isolate him with regional allies. Because he threatens old power systems, French colonial extraction, Western military bases where they shouldn't be, control over the gold of Africa. The West doesn't give a shite whether there's human rights abuse in Burkina Faso. It prefers them actually. They divide and conquer, chaos continues. It fears the order that might come without them.
So it's just clear as day that the West has always been so obsessed with Africa because of the minerals that Africa has. And and I agree with the lady in the video that they've never cared about human rights. Africa is just another way to get rich. And, Africans are not human beings to these people. And just also looking back on how China was called peasants, I feel like it's the same energy. They angry that the peasants have decided to take power in their hands, and that's why they're bringing him down so much. And even if we look back at the past with Thomas, who got assassinated, he was trying the same things that Burkina is trying to basically to uplift his country, and they killed that man. And now he's the next person, and apparently they've been trying to assassinate him. I don't know whether that's true, but just looking at how they're moving, it's so desperate. It's very narcissistic. And when you look at Africa, it's always been the West is trying to save Africa, but at the same time, they're the same people that are making Africa poor. And now I'm also looking at how can this man be the enemy when he's the same person who's decided education is going to be for free. So you can just say this is just nothing but desperation on their side to basically take him out. Because if he starts moving like this, then it alerts other African leaders that, you know what, this is possible. And then what happens? If Africa doesn't want to be a slave anymore, and China has made it clear that they want to be a slave anymore, then who becomes the slaves? And you have to understand that the West is actually rich because of Africa and other countries. So now, if they can't take from these countries anymore, who do they become? You can also already see how China embarrassed America. So they probably trying to avoid that. And it's making them uncomfortable that the whole world is even watching them crumble like this. So I think the beneficial things, what we benefit in as what we benefit, jeepers, as the whole world is that we get to watch it in front of our eyes this time around. It's no longer one of those things where we watch TV and they control, because news were controlled. Journalists and some journalists were told what to say. And I guess this is the beauty of it now. Everybody's got social media and everybody gets to see what's going on. You can even see the Americans when they lost their TikTok. They said that they couldn't get some of the stuff that they're watching, like what's basically going on in America. Some of those videos they couldn't see anymore. In some things they were Googling, they could not see anymore. So you can just see this is just another strategy to take him out and not give him that much power, because if he gets power, then the whole world gets power. And that is not good for America and the Western. So I'll just leave it there.